Hey, docs, I want to share some things with you right now that can grow your practice. But I've got to be upfront. If you don't have the next 10 minutes to sit and listen to this, then just turn me off. If you do have some time, I'm going to do this in a bit of a mini tutorial. In other words, if you understand what I'm talking about, you can use it right away in your next talk, and it can help you out. One of the first things I want to cover is when you do your outside talks, please understand this is a growth opportunity. Too many people misunderstand this and they think it's an educational opportunity. There's no doubt people will learn from you. But look, if we're doing this as a marketing event, then it should have a metric, it should have an analytic, and that is called new patients. If we don't speak and grow, then you've missed an opportunity for your business. And I have no problem saying that, because the truth is, the definition of a business is to turn a profit. And if you're not profitable, you don't get to help people in your chiropractic office because we're not turning a profit. How do we grow? Well, the lifeblood of any business is new business. It's new opportunities, and that's called new patients. So rule number one is speaking is meant to grow your practice, first and foremost, whether that's internal or external, meaning in the four walls of your practice, or you're doing it externally for corporations and lunch and learns. Rule number two with this is that when you go to do these talks, the best way to get action is to invite people to make a new patient appointment. The way we do that, and part of the close, which is usually what people want to know the most about, is understanding that there's got to be a sense of urgency. And what you really want to do is use the two most influential words in any language. I've been teaching this particular topic now for almost 20 years. Public speaking, speaking to grow your practice. It started out as a workshop called Learn to Do Talks, Learn to Do Health Talks. And the truth is, the most important part of it was missing for most chiropractors. I would hear things on a regular basis like, I'm a good speaker, but I just don't know how to close and get new patients. I'm good at talking, I'm just not good at new patients. And I thought, well, if you get up there and speak and you don't close for new patients in your practice, then you're actually not marketing your practice. You're not really even doing this from a chiropractic perspective. You're more in entertainment, and I don't want that for you. So rule number two is when you close your talks, do it using the two most important words in any language, the two most important words for influence, and that's you and your. The University of Texas did this study many years ago talking about the word matrix, and they talk about you and your being the most influential words in any language, and me and I being the least influential. If I were to say this differently, if you talk a lot about yourself when you get up there, you're not going to draw new patients. If you feel like this is your chance to tell your story, you're missing the point. It's not your story. It's actually their story. And this is critical for point number three, which is when you talk, you want to incorporate the audience into the story. You see, it's not about me and my story. It's about them and their story, and paint the picture where they can see themselves in it. Point number three is critical because as we do this, I think it's really important to give you an illustration. The best illustration I can think of is a really cool sports car. Call it a Ferrari, call it a Lamborghini, whatever you think is a really cool sports car, okay? That particular sports car, red, beautiful, fast, maybe it's a G-Wagon, I don't know, whatever you like for cars. When you look at that car, very often, you're actually not looking at the person driving it. What you're looking at is the set of wheels you like that's attractive to you, and you're imagining yourself behind the wheel. So rarely when people drive nice cars are they being recognized and noticed. What's happening is people see the nice car and they see themselves in the car. So use this for your talks as well. Paint the picture of this proverbial car so that they see themselves in the driver's seat. That's how their brain works anyway. When you use those two words, you and your, you can then create an offer, a compelling offer to get people into the office. And I'll give you a little bit of the close now because I think it's really important. But the most important piece I'll save to the end, because the close really comes down to giving them a chance to come in so I can check out your health and your needs and see what it is that you need from me. If for any reason I cannot help you, I'll tell you that too, and I'll send you to the right doctor that will provide the services. However, if I can help you and your aches and pains, your ailments, your reasons for performing at a higher level, then I'll let you know what that requires as well. However, the problem with our healthcare system is it's a one-size-fits-all. And unfortunately, that hasn't worked to this point. So let's do this for you in a way that benefits your health, your family, and your goals. But that means I've got to listen first. That would be it. Real simple, real concise, and although I'm a bit exaggerative with the use of you and your, it wouldn't be out of context. It wouldn't be bad if I said it 11 or 12 times, which would be my guess how many times I just said that. It clues them in. It becomes your hook to do that, okay? And again, when someone sees the car they like, they don't look at the driver. They look at the wheels and they see themselves. That's how it works. Same thing for your talks. When you want to close for growth, you understand the word matrix, you start to pull them in. Now, that word matrix was done back at the University of Texas over 20 years ago, because when I first started teaching this topic, that was available, and I would often reference this over 20 years ago. It's you and your, not me and I. Unfortunately, the mistakes being made in corporate health talks, and especially by chiropractors, is this idea that it's a chance to tell my story. Let me tell my story. Here's what it is. And if you have one talk, your signature talk, and it's your story, just about you, well, that's what we call a spray and pray. And that's really point number 4 that I want to get across. The spray and pray is you have one talk, which is kind of like a one-size-fits-all. You do it for the audience, and it's hit or miss, good or bad. It just depends on how they receive it. And unfortunately, I've helped chiropractors for years perfect their talks. Understand that the whole point of doing a talk is to create action. What's the action? New patient. That's the metric in your practice. And oftentimes I would hear chiropractors blame the audience. I just think it was a bad group. I just think it wasn't right. There's a little bit of merit to that conversation. Like if you have a room full of orthopedic surgeons, might not be so good. But overall, you have to adapt and stay flexible in your message as to what you're going to share. In other words, there'll be better messages for some audiences than others. There's got to be some flexibility. Therefore, it isn't about you and your story and you're very rigid, stay in the box. It's about who's my audience, how can I research them, and if you understand the word matrix of you and your, then you would also understand if I were to put in words in my vocabulary that are used in their vocabulary, I would definitely have their attention. Let me give you one of the best examples as I wrap up this small tutorial. I was at a chiropractic conference, had someone jump up there and say, hey, this is the lunchtime sponsor. They are a financial expert. So we sat there. They had the next 5 minutes to talk. And like many sponsorships, my phone got really interesting, and I felt the need to see what was on it while the person was talking. But as I was half listening, mostly looking at my phone, they said something that really hit me. And I thought, this guy gets it. You see, while he was talking, and he said, this is my pleasure to be here, and we provided the lunch, and this is the name of my company. I've worked with chiropractors. Profits are this, taxes are that. Some chiropractors get it, some don't. Blah, blah, blah is what it started to sound like to me. But then he said something really important that kind of takes that word matrix to the next level, and I want you to do this at your next talk. He said, the problem I see with most chiropractors is between making the money and understanding a tax structure, chiropractors are somewhat subluxated between the making, their wallet, and paying taxes. The biggest subluxation's in their brain. And I thought, he said it twice. He used the word subluxation to a chiropractic audience. It meant that they researched the audience, they related to the audience, and they were almost doing the next level of you and your, which is a particular vocabulary. So what I did is I took a page out of their book, and I'm a consummate student. I'm in practice, been doing this for 25 years, and I always apply what I learn. Well, that day I learned from a vendor, and hats off to him for doing it really well, and I'm always willing to learn. So then what I did is I went to do a talk for a group of police officers, law enforcement, and when I was there, I said, listen, many of you would have lower back pain, but that's probably from your Sam Browne. And I saw their heads perk up and pick up immediately. You see, what a Sam Browne is it's the gun belt that most people in law enforcement wear. It's an assumptive diagnosis for chiropractors, meaning if someone has a low back injury and they've been on the job for 3 years or 5 years, depending on the province, the country, or the state here in the U.S., it's an assumptive injury. And whether it's 3 years or 5 years here in the United States, if someone's wearing a gun belt, the Sam Browne, it's called Sam Browne syndrome. In other words, you can file it as a work injury or work comp claim on the job injury, and it's assumed a yes because they wear it all the time. That's not the point of the Sam Brown story. The point of the Sam Brown story is I used their words, they perked up, and we crushed it with new patients. So if you understand and you could take it to the next level, you can give a compelling offer, you're going to have more new patients coming in. Let's call it what it is. After lockdown, a lot of chiropractors have lost their swagger. Many chiropractors are looking for new patients. You won't find anybody within the profession who's been teaching how to do talks longer than me, and I'm also in practice. So it's one thing if you want to be a big stage presenter and you want a speaking coach to be on a stage and talk to 2,000 people, go for it. What I want to teach you to do is pull new patients, because I know if we don't get people in your office, we're not going to get them started. If we don't get them over for a new patient appointment, we're not going to put them on a plan. So what I've done is I've created a 10-point autopsy. It's free, but it's basically a book to talk you through some of what I would say are the most important points for a talk that get jacked up. Meaning these are the mistakes chiropractors make. The reason it's an autopsy is this is what could kill your talk. So if you want, you can click the tab down below and find out what those 10 points are. It's an ebook and it's very easy to read, but holy smokes, is it applicable. You can use it right away. And I bet you 2 or 3 of those right off the top, you're going to go, oh my God, that was me. I'm doing that. I made that mistake. And this is really a guide to help you out. If you want some instruction on how to do talks, and maybe most importantly, succinctly give a message to just 10 minutes, I want to tell you, I invented that within chiropractic. And holy cow, did I have my critics, because I started doing 10-minute talks and people said, there's no way you can do that. Reggie Gold said, if you give me a minute, I'll convince you to come to an hour lecture. Everybody needs an hour. Well, in today's world, not everybody has an hour. And while I started doing 10-minute talks over 15 years ago, it's kind of become the industry standard. But that also, I think, is important when we start to look at who your mentors are, who your teachers are. I'm doing it. I probably have the results you want, and we have the practice most chiropractors would kill to have. High volume, high fee, high profile. And I know it's reproducible. It's something you can replicate. So if this is something you like, click the link, get the 10-point autopsy, mistakes chiropractors make. If you want full-blown training, I'd be happy to help you. But the way we do that now is really cool, because the way we do the training on how to do talks is a hybrid format. You can purchase the online program of how to do talks, what we call Speak, to attract believers. You don't want skeptics, you want believers in your practice as new patients. Speak to attract believers online, but then you also get a ticket to a live training, meaning you can do it online, get your reps in, and then come live, and I'll go hands-on, I'll listen to what you say, and I'll tweak it over the course of 2 days. One fee, 2 great products, the online and the live. It's the same. If you use the 10-point autopsy, you'll have mistakes that get cleared up almost immediately, and you'll see your results go up. And again, back to point number 1. Speaking is a quantifiable thing in your practice. It's a metric, a stat, an analytic. Probably the most important analytic, because it's a lead statistic, not a lag statistic. Look, if you can't tell, I can go on and on for hours. I've been teaching this topic longer and better than anybody else in the profession. I just want to share with you, coming out of lockdowns, some docs have kind of stumbled out of the gates. They haven't fully gotten back to where they were. Let's change that. People need chiropractic care more than ever. They need you to be a leader and a speaker. And I'm telling you, it sure beats spinal screening. So if this helps you out, drop a positive comment down below. Make sure you click like and share what works for you. And if you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button because we've got other videos like this on this topic. And I just want to help you out. If you want to come to the live seminar, what's cool is you get the online training immediately. And then when we do the live event, we're going to do that twice in the US, once in Australia, once in Europe. You'll get the advantage of both. It's a hybrid. You do the online training and come live. One fee, 2 great ways to learn. And ultimately, I think me going hands-on with you in a classroom, that immersion style and hearing your voice and changing the cadence and making the things, it's going to be the best way to do it. So for right now, click the 10-point autopsy. For later, I'll see you at one of the live workshops, Speak to Attract Believers. It's my pleasure to help you out. If there's anything else I can do, please let me know.